Hey, all my Scorpios. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today with your January 2025 monthly horoscope. These horoscopes are based on whole sign Western astrology. So when I'm talking about Scorpio, I'm referring to Scorpio rising as the first house and dictating the landscape of the chart. If you don't know your rising sign, you'll want to go to any one of the free birth calculators on the internet. You just need your exact time of birth and location to determine that information. When I refer to a day and a time, it's based on the Pacific time zone, so please adjust for your location. January, I think, starts off tense and pretty heated. It feels very, we have an opposition between your two ruling planets, Mars and Pluto. We experienced this back in October and November, but at that time, Pluto was in the last degree of Capricorn. Now Pluto has moved into Aquarius, and I think this makes the energy even more aggressive. We have Aquarius as a very rebellious energy, and then we have Mars still in Leo retrograde, hot and fiery and focused on the self, and Mars is already focused on the self. So let's pull up the chart and talk about how this is going to go. Okay, so on the first day of the month, we see that Mars is in Leo. Leo is your 10th house of career and public reputation and social status. It's a very strong leadership house. And now we see Pluto in Aquarius in your 4th house. Now, Pluto coming into Aquarius is really kind of wanting to evolve any toxic waste that comes from a psychological stranglehold, for lack of a better term. The childhood experience forms us, I mean, science says that our brains are formed in the first 5 years of life when we have absolutely no control over anything. And in Aquarius is a very unexpected energy. So there could have been a lot of unusual things that happened within your home life, your home, the environment. It could have been a very progressive home. But what's happening now is Pluto is coming into that house and going to transcend that house, transform that house over the next 20 years. As Pluto, the dominant planet, is in an opposition with its co-ruler, Mars. Mars is still good here in the fire sign, but no short order. In a few days, Mars is going to move back into Cancer when it's in fall. And that's in your 9th house, giving you an opportunity to really look about how you process your angers, your frustrations, your resentments, your action, your bravery, your pioneering spirit. I think that Scorpio is such an immensely powerful and creative sign. I think it's the most intuitive sign of the Zodiac, really. And depending upon what energies you have, meaning planets you have in the sign of Scorpio, it supports that sort of interior detective. You notice things that other people don't see. So this is very tense. Now, we do have a nice trine to the nodes, the North Node here in Aries, where Mars is the ruler. The nodes will change access on the 12th, but we're going to get to that in a minute. And I do think that if Mars is willing to take a more spiritual approach to whatever challenges it has experienced up there in its career sector, there's a way of extracting wisdom from it. The human experience is not meant to be one of ease. It's actually quite, it's kind of like a landscape of potholes and hurdles in order for us to hone our skills. And here you're going to see that. You're going to see that this sort of push-pull between the home life and the career leadership public status. And that kind of plays out throughout the whole beginning of the year, literally the first few months. Okay. So we also have at the beginning of the year, we also have Uranus and Jupiter retrograde. I'm going to focus on Uranus right now because Uranus is in Taurus. Taurus is your 7th house of partnerships. And Uranus has been stationed at 23 degrees of Taurus since December 19th, and that was retrograde. It will continue as it's stationing, and it's going to move direct. It will be 23 degrees until March. Hold on, what was the date there? March 12th, March 12th, 2025. This is extremely powerful, this stationing. It's giving you an opportunity to really assess where you feel peace, where you feel a sense of harmony, where you can rewrite some of the history in your relationships. And the Scorpio Taurus axis is very much a axis of power and money. Scorpio rules other people's money, financial investments, big banking, and Taurus rules the money that I make using my own skills. So Uranus could be bringing in an awareness of wanting to individualize in some way and potentially assessing either the professional partnerships that you're already engaged in, or maybe even getting into a person or a professional collaboration at some point. Again, Uranus is looking to the future, innovation, and moving the story forward. And the way that I see it, it builds upon the Pluto Mars opposition. Okay, on the 3rd, we will see Venus enter her exaltation. And this is a wonderful energy because she is beyond a welcomed guest. This is where we pull out the best wine. We have the best charcuterie board. We're listening to the best music, and she's about to have an encounter with some of her great friends, mainly Neptune. But before that happens, as she enters her exaltation, Pisces is your 5th house of romance, of creativity, self-expression. It's also where children are conceived. But we see a focal point here of Venus in a transit yod with the South Node in Libra and with the Mars in Leo. Now, Libra is your 12th house and Leo is your 10th house. So there's somewhere that you, as a Scorpio rising, are being tasked to look at how you value yourself, your skills, your talents, your money. And this yod is there, these are blind spots. While the planets they support from a more intuitive place because you can't quite see what's happening. And we can even further capitalize on that because even though Venus is an exaltation in Pisces, Pisces by nature is the 12th house where we feel a little bit invisible or where we feel unseen, where the focus is more on compassion and empathy of others sometimes than it is on ourselves. And I think that this is Venus getting to learn that the compassion she has for her own creativity and her own personal entertainment and pleasure is so paramount to moving forward. And the stellium that's growing in the sign of Pisces as the year progresses, we're going into the end of winter and the beginning of spring, and we're going to see Venus get all the way through Pisces and then move retrograde back in, and Mercury will join. It's going to be quite a party in that house, and the more you're aware of it, the more you can take advantage of the energies moving forward. On the 6th, Mars moves back into Cancer, and that is in its fall. And when a planet is in its fall, it doesn't feel respected. It doesn't feel appreciated or valued. It feels like a little bit of a fish out of water. And if we think about Mars being so hot and so steamy and so passionate and in some ways aggressive and harsh, when you get into the warm and fuzzy sign of Cancer, it's like, no, don't be selfish. Think of others. Think of how other people feel. This can be very frustrating for Mars, and Mars is your co-ruler. So I think you're going to be revisiting a lot of the energies where you have, and the belief systems that you have about, what is possible, and potentially how the maternal experience or the nurturing experience shaped your belief system. I think that's important to recognize that there are certain things that no matter how many times you try to figure out how, or where, or when, it really doesn't matter. The more important thing is looking to the future. And I think that's something that your Uranus in your seventh house is compelling you to do, in the sense that how can I move my story forward and create peace and harmony for myself while I interact with others. Okay, the other thing that's interesting on this particular day is that Mercury is on the galactic center. The galactic center is a point within the Shapley cluster where with intentional meditation and conversation to spirit, you can download solutions and inspirations and solve problems through your connection and communications with your divinity within, your soul, however you want to name it. Here we see that the possibility is here, but yet there is a potential that it could be missed because the square from the nodes and from Neptune could potentially make me talk myself out of it. Now, earlier I said, I think Scorpio is without a doubt the most intuitive sign. And sometimes there's afflictions in the planets, but at the same time, there's this inherent detective psychological awareness within the sign of Scorpio. And here I think you're being tasked with these challenging aspects to trust the downloads beyond what you can see with your eyes or reason with your mind. And this quincunx is going to task you to be brave in believing your intuitive body, be egoless to that which you cannot see or other people's opinions. This is your 12th house of Libra. And then to be brave in asserting yourself towards your spiritual connection. It's sometimes the greatest achievements are born from the biggest challenges. And while that's a frustrating dynamic, it is also the most compelling for feeling that sense of power and control over your own life. On the 8th, we will see Mercury move into somber Capricorn, where the thoughts become much more practical, much more about building something sustainable and enduring. And this is sort of where there's a little push-pull between what seems practical in the way of mercurial thought. Okay, Capricorn is your third house of thought. And then the square over here to the Pisces energy and the north node here in Aries. Aries being your sixth house of work. Again, you're being tasked on some level to build on a spiritual dynamic, to allow your thoughts to align to the universe is working out for me, that any disruptions that are created are moving out, toxicity that is blocking me from my greatest happiness. And sometimes in the human body, the hardest thing to do is to believe in that which we cannot see. On the 12th, the nodes will move into the Pisces Virgo axis, with Virgo is your 11th house. Pisces is your 5th house. And this is going to go on for about a year and a half. There's going to be a bit of a what I think is a challenge as you allow your creativity, however you want to express your 5th house pleasures, whether you want to have a baby, whether you want to build a creative baby, whether you want to become a spiritual guru. You could even become a hotel concierge, work within retreats and ashrams. I mean, there's so many beautiful elements to the Pisces energy. And the North Node is asking you to stretch for those, to stretch for that, the highest vibration of Pisces versus the escapism and the addiction. And at the same time, there's going to be a call to be egoless to your own self-criticism, or potentially the criticism that you have of others, or where your mind is enslaved to a certain way of being. This is also a health access. So you're going to become aware, Scorpio, about how anger and feeling powerless affects your physical health. And that is also going to be supported most by a balance will be supported most by your connection to the divine, to the universe, to whoever you want to, whatever name you want to call it. I am going to be doing a separate video that will focus more on the elements of the nodes, but that will suffice for now. On the 13th, we'll have a full moon at 23 degrees of Cancer. That's at 2:26 p.m. Again, I'll be doing a separate video for that, but it will be conjunct Mars. So that full moon is going to be it's going to expose some things, and it could expose anger, and it could create a little bit of arguments and disagreements. Okay, let's go on to the 19th. And here we're going to see Venus exact conjunction with Saturn. I really like Saturn in Pisces. To me, it's really about bringing this sense of Saturn's golden age to me in this age, my willingness to create sustainable things, to allow illusions to blow away, to trust an inner knowing that maybe the 3D world can't see is very much being offered here. And we see this conjunction at that Cancerian degree, the 16th degree. So this again kind of doubles down for me on trusting that intuitive knowing versus trying to reason something out with my brain. We also see that this conjunction is in a sextile to Mercury. And Mercury is in Capricorn, where Saturn rules. So I think this could be the beginning of starting to feel the real rooting in of that Capricorn third house being based on a spiritual premise. Like for me as an individual, I always sort of ask myself when I endeavor something, what is my emotional body? What is my being energy, my attitude, my disposition? And if for some reason I'm feeling hurried or rushed before I'm doing a video, I stop and I talk to my guides and my angels, and I thank them for having my ego step aside so that I can be of the highest vibrational service to my audience. And that's what's going on right here. Building that into that 3D world, into your third house, into your mind, and your speech is aligned with your pleasure, your entertainment, and your creativity. Okay, we also see the Sun and Pluto in a conjunction. It'll be exact on the 20th. Now, it's interesting to me because as I've been doing these videos and I've been talking about this conjunction, usually the sun is considered the strongest planet, and when it's next to a planet, it combusts the planet. It outshines the planet. I don't know if I see that here. I feel like what I see is, here we've got this Aquarius fourth house of home, and we are excavating whatever is stale and stagnant and thwarting your forward motion. And it could be an ego issue. That's what the sun represents. It could be how you perceive others perceive you, or what your role is within, that fourth house energy. And if it is not balanced, Pluto is going to actually take the stronger position and inadvertently stoke up that ego to a point where it's exposed. And that expose comes from Mars and that opposition. So forewarned is forearmed, in my opinion. And I think it's supported by the nodal change. Again, here we see mostly some nice supporting aspects. We've got a little funk with the moon, but the moon will move quickly. Anyway, all right, let's move on to, I think it's the 25th. Or let me check. I think it's the 25th. Yep, we see Mars and Venus in an exact trine, and we have that coupled with Neptune and Saturn. Oh, this is so, in some respects, it's like the beginning of the dawn starting to come over you, Scorpio, where your ninth house is starting to be willing to be braver about what Venus is offering you in your fifth house of love and romance. I don't want to forget that aspect of your fifth house, because sometimes when Scorpio is hurt tremendously, it can never forget that, and it will remember it. And it will, because of Pluto's influence, it will constantly look deeper and deeper for where danger is. And Mars, being the co-ruler could then stoke that resentment. And here you're being asked and to let your history work for you and to find the divinity within you and to claim your self-worth, literally. Okay. Now, when we go on the 27th, we will see, I believe it's the 27th, Mercury. Oh, well, let's go the next day, the 30th or 28th. We see Mercury now having this conversation with Pluto. And again, Pluto wins. I really think that when a planet can live in the dark the way Pluto does, it understands the coldness. It understands the fears that get stoked in that place. And here again, this is your fourth house of home. So you're going to be revisiting your childhood, how it shaped you, how it might have presented some traumas for you. And those traumas now have an opportunity to be transcended. They have an opportunity to be, with the sextile in coming to the nodes and to Neptune. I should say the sextile to the north node, I'm sorry. I think this is an opportunity to truly stretch for the wisdom within that traumatic event might have fostered. Because oftentimes people are not motivated by ease, but rather by dis-ease. On the 29th, we will have a new moon in Aquarius. I'll be doing a separate video on that. On the 30th, we see Uranus go direct. And I can't emphasize how powerful it is when a planet stays at the same degree for such a long time. It's like it's standing still in the sky 5 times more powerful than it is when it's in motion. And again, this is going on from December 19th, 2024, when Uranus was retrograde, all the way through till March 12th, 2025. And this is your 7th house of committed and contractual partnerships, as well as peace, harmony, diplomacy. It's also a house that there can be legal things going on. So you may be liberated from some legal things that are happening. Who knows? Okay, and then on the final day of the month, we see Venus and Neptune in an exact conjunction. Again, this is super dreamy. It's super creative. It's a little potentially, the imagination could be firing on all cylinders. At the same time, there is the opposite kind of thing. If you're new in a relationship, or if you're starting something new, this aspect could make things seem a little dreamier than they actually are. So be a little mindful there. But for the most part, I think this is beautiful for tapping into your creativity, tapping into that sense of wonder that children have and the magic that's possible. I think there's magic in the sign of Pisces. This is also a conjunction that's very musical. So if you have any musical talent, ability, or if you enjoy music and it soothes your soul, this would be a great time to take advantage of this energy for connection to using music as a connection to the divine within as well. I'm going to stop my share now. So it is really the beginning of the year to me is a ramping up of some energies that are, again, very transformational. The United States just went through a presidential election, and there is an inauguration scheduled in January. We'll see what happens. But that will also be playing in the background of our lives and influencing our choices and our options. So be mindful of that. But overall, I believe in the law of attraction. I believe that intention supersedes kind of old structures. So don't let your dreams get dinged, because that 5th house, Pisces, is a lot of fun stuff coming up a little later in the year, or a little later in the springtime. All right, my Scorpios, that's it for me. Please like, please share, please subscribe. Check out the end of the video where I've done a year-long I went month by month through 2025 and did highlights that are happening, the astrological highlights for each month. There are chapters, so you can go back and check it over and over again. And then I have a January Love and Money Tarot reading for you. So those will be offered at the end of the video. Okay, everybody, I'll see you soon. Have a lovely 2025.